Hey, Tony Gaskins here. Now, got a little road trip today, so I'm gonna be filming much as I can, many videos I can, so y'all might see at least one or two or three videos from this here trip. What happened is my youngest son, he is two and a half hours away at a tournament with my wife, and then my oldest son, he has a game 4 hours away, over 4 hours away. So my wife and our youngest son went last night to get into the hotel to already be there for the game today. 2 games today he has, and then depending on how they do, they play tomorrow. So they there, I'll be with the oldest. Then when the oldest finish, me and him shooting hour and 40 minutes to where the youngest play, and then we in the hotel again tonight, and then play on Sunday. And depending on how they do, may end up playing as late as 3 p.m. Sunday, and then got to drive home, 2-3 hours. And the tournament, the way it works is it's a state of play, what they call it. So you got to pick the hotel. So you got to stay at one of the hotels in order to be registered in the tournament. Just a crazy little money grab that the city do just to take advantage of youth sports. They're gonna make the athletes stay at certain hotels, which is just absolutely insane, because what if you can't afford to stay at a hotel? Like, everybody on your roster got to be staying at a hotel. It's like, what if you can't afford to stay at a hotel? So therefore, because people income is different, a hotel that was chosen, it's a 2-star hotel, but it's a hotel that everybody can afford. And so me personally, I don't know if I'll be able to sleep in a 2-star hotel just because I done stretched my mind. It's just like, once you stretch your mind, you can't go backwards. And I don't believe in going backwards. So I had to book another hotel that's probably 4 stars at least. At least 4 stars. And but for one night, 2 bedroom. And the reason why I'm sharing is just so for the non-parents and for the parents who your kid don't play like soccer or baseball or dance or gymnastics, these sports where you got to be traveling all over. This stuff ridiculous, man. But you do it for the love of your kids. So the hotel is, it's over $700 for one night. And then you got, now he know he wrong. You got that raggedy U-Haul trailer on the bike of there, and you changing lane, about to knock me off of the road, man. You need to stay in one lane with that thing. And then the hotel that my wife had to get, they had to get it for 2 nights. You're already in there, you already locked in. So that's $500. That's $1,200 on a random weekend. And we just had to go down to Miami 2 weekends ago. Had to go. Here you go, boom. Spencer, 2 nights a hotel, I think, or no, it probably was 1 or 2 nights. I can't remember. I think we had to fly. I think we flew on that one. Had to fly, rent a car, and then I think, oh yeah, because we flew in from Yale, because we had a soccer visit at Yale. So here you go, Yale, flights, boom, hotel up there in Yale 2 nights, boom, fly down to Miami, flights to Miami, rent a car in Miami, then I think we drove from there. And this is now think about this now. So how is U.S. soccer gonna win the World Cup when the only people who can play soccer at a high level where you get scouted by the Team USA got to make 6 figures to afford the sport. So you only getting a certain small pool of kids, and a lot of athletes being left out just because of their parents' income. And that's crazy. That's crazy. So one day what I'm gonna do with my sons is we're gonna start a foundation, and we're gonna get grants from the state and from companies, and we're gonna raise money, and we're gonna have staff in every city. And so in this city, it might be 1, 2, 15 passenger vans and full-time staff, and their job is to go through the hood, the inner city, or the hood, whatever they call it, and pick up the kids that's on this here soccer team or baseball team or what have you. And ooh Lord, there's a police, and he's sitting right there, state trooper, and I'm just, and there was a car riding on my tail right here, so I'm on the gas. Good thing I was only about at 70, and I tapped that brake. Yeah, cause see, I don't like when people be riding on me like that. So this truck was riding on my tail right there. He probably got a scanner letting him know. State troop out here. Now they know they wrong. It's 8:30 in the morning, and you trying to add bills to people's life. People trying to get where they got to go at. You out here want to give out tickets. Y'all wrong for that. Thank the Lord, I don't think he coming after me. I don't think I was speeding that much though. It's 60-mile-an-hour speed. I probably was 70. And we're gonna start that, because think about this. I want you to think about this literally. And this ain't even what that video is gonna be by. But I'm gonna change this to cost of parenting. Because think about this. If you're a parent and you want to get your child out the house, and soccer, you playing with a ball. You got a ball. That's it. A ball and some cleats. That's soccer. So why make the sport that require the least amount of equipment the most expensive sport in the world? And now, it's not literally the most expensive, because think about baseball now. Think about baseball. You got a bat, you got a glove, and you got cleats. And then if you want to get, sometimes you might want your 2-3 bats. You might want you might do one glove, but then you might get you some sunglasses. Then you might get the glove that go on your hand, like your batting glove, not your catching glove. And I remember my son was playing baseball, little old bitty kids. They was young. Both of them was young when they played baseball. The bat was $150 for a little child. And then you got the cost of the league. And then they be traveling too. And baseball get to where they got to travel out of state. So they got to get flights, hotel, all this stuff. And then them bats could get on up $400. Gloves could get on up there, $400, $500. So that's why when you look at like soccer in America and baseball in America, it's not a lot of athletes from lower income families, black or white lower income families. And that's why, and a lot of times, the higher your income is, the less serious you take your sport, because when you got more money, you have more opportunity. So you don't live like other people live. So you travel more and stuff like that. So the kids end up, and then you got more money for things. So your food is different. Your electronics is different. Your car's different. Your house different. So you create this oasis of opulence, and it's hard for a child to be disciplined and dedicated and focused and driven to their sport when their life is so comfortable. A lot of times what make an athlete disciplined is when their life is uncomfortable and they want that sport to change their life, even if that's just give them a full college scholarship. And here go what let you know soccer, doggone, is so expensive, and it's made for people who make a certain amount of money in America, because soccer don't even get all the scholarships. You can't even get a full scholarship for soccer. For soccer, you still got to pay for college. You get a partial scholarship, and then they try to put other stuff with it, and so you still got they got 30 players and they only get 10 scholarships at the highest level, and then it go down from there. Smaller schools will get less. They might get 8 scholarships or 5.5 scholarships. The biggest schools get 9.9 scholarships, but they got 30 players, and they're not going to give nobody a full scholarship because that's taking up a whole. Now they left with 8.9, so they try to give you half a scholarship, 3/4 of a scholarship. If you just insanely good, then you might get a full scholarship. But if you that good in soccer, because the talent ain't all that, you going to one of the pro teams, not the college. And so, and then with soccer, being that the players typically come from well-to-do families, that means they go to better schools. They go to the A-rated schools if they're in public school, or they go to private school, so their education is better. The classrooms are smaller, their education is better. So now, pretty much every soccer player qualifies for academic aid, get academic aid, and then some may be able to get needs-based aid if they was able to play through a scholarship with the team, or the team discounted their fees or what have you. And so, I got a mosquito in here, and boy, this thing look like it'll take a chunk out you, boy. Thing look like it wanna take a bite out of crime. My goodness, this thing. Come on now, you got to get up out of here now. Oh yeah, kill him. Yeah, now, like Mr. Miyagi, boy. Absolutely not. You're not gonna be just flying around in here all willy-nilly. Mr. Miyagi in here, man. About made me break my window with my wedding ring. Had to hit that thing so quick. With a bike hand too. Smooth, nice with it now. Got to get your light together, mosquito. Man, got my head itching just looking at you. And so that's how soccer works. Whereas, like, when you think about it, football, they give full scholarships. The big schools, I think they get like 81 scholarships. Think about that. 81 full scholarships. And then right up under that, I think like 63 at the Division I level. So reason being, a lot of them kids come from lower income households where they can't afford any bit of college. And if you lower income, typically, you have exceptions to the rule, but on average, lower income mean lower education, because you live in a certain area where the schools are more poor. It's worse schools, so therefore your teachers are more drained. You got 30, 40 kids in the class. The male teachers is, a lot of them is sleeping with the 16-year-olds and they not focused. And then some of the women sleeping with the 16, some of the women teachers sleeping with the 16, 17-year-old boys. They not focused, they tired. They getting them a little bit of angling under the stairs, under the stairwell at the school, until they get caught and be on the news. And so the education is just trash at them lower level schools, because the teacher just ain't got the time. Because she like, listen, y'all paying me, 2 peanuts and a nickel, and want me to deal with 30, 25 to 40 kids in a classroom who none of them got parents and they all raising themselves. And so if the parents can't raise them, how you expect me to be able to raise 40 of them at one time? And then y'all want me to do this 5 to 8 times a day. So this one human being, and the teacher going home with 30K in a place like Florida, you know. And then even if the teachers in California or New York, they might be making 70 and up, but that's like that in them states because it's so expensive to live. And so that's why the football get out, and then football, bigger arena, everybody love it, it's America's sport, so they make a lot of money. And then so because of that, football got 100 players on a team at a big school like your local university that's big. They got 100 players on the team, 81 of them on full scholarship. The other ones, they paying for college through, you know, whatever, loans, academic scholarship, what have you. And then they got this big stadium and they making all the money. But because there's so many guys on that team, because of Title IX, you can't have like a lot of schools that got football and basketball for boys, they don't have men's soccer. So the schools that I work with, 2 of the schools I work with as a team mentor, team life coach, don't have men's soccer. Which if they had men's soccer, my son would be able to get a scholarship just because of the politics of things. One coach talking to another coach, hey, get this kid a spot on your team. You know, his dad worked for us. He help us out. He probably will come talk to your team too. He help us win a championship or do this, do that. Get this gonna be a good kid, and he could play. Boom, your son got a scholarship. But 2 of the schools don't have a team. The other school got a team, but I just now met the coach not too long ago, and so you know it's gonna be a little hard to get him to vouch for me. So this how this thing works, and this the cost of being a parent. It's the cost of being a parent. And so that's why they have really, just like with inflation, with grocery and all of this stuff, they have really priced parents out of giving your kids a life. And I remember, and a lady made me aware of this because, you know, I became a high earner, to God be the glory. And I was talking about how my son, my oldest son, I didn't even realize one thing some parents don't realize. We don't even realize when our child be chubby or husky. We don't even realize it because we just love our child. We looking at our child. When I look back at the picture, I'm like, my son had a little meat on his bone, but was doing some eating. And so I didn't even realize it. And I remember talking to a coach like, why my son ain't make the team now? The coach said, well, maybe he's not athletic enough. That was after he got fed up with me. And I'm like, not athletic enough? Man, my son's starting, my son good. But when I look back now, I'm like, oh, my son looked a little below average. And so in his body physique, we don't even realize that. But I remember talking about how my oldest was in karate. He was in baseball, basketball, football, soccer, robotics club, chess club. He did all of those things. And I remember talking about keeping your child busy. Keeping your child busy and giving them, swimming. He was in swimming lessons at the swimming thing. And then the youngest, he did karate, tennis, swimming, baseball, soccer, flag football. The oldest did flag football and tackle football. So I'm talking about this right here. And the lady, she wrote in the comments, she was like, Tony, you know all those things cost money, don't you? And I hadn't thought about it. And I was like, man, so yeah, she right. So if you don't really earn a lot of money, if you don't you barely earn enough money to pay your bills, you're not going to be able to afford the tuition of the sport, the equipment for the sport, the gas to go to the sport every day, and then the money for the gas to go hours away for the sport, or to fly, and then the hotel, the hotel cost and the food cost, like, you're not gonna be able to afford that. So you really, if you only make certain amount of money, your child can only afford to go to school and come home. And then if the school got sports, they can play the school sport, but if they have not played youth sports, then they're not gonna be good enough to make the school team, unless it's just like a natural sport, like just running, and your child fast and they could get on the track team. But in youth sports costs money. So this one thing you could do now, if you were an athlete in high school and you have kids or you don't have kids, and you don't have a sense of purpose right now, you don't know what to do, one thing you could do is start this nonprofit in your city to get money. Because once you start a nonprofit, and if you don't know how to start a nonprofit, reach out to me. My daddy, he do that in our company, in my company. He do that for my clients, start a nonprofit. It's gonna cost you by $500 to $1,000. It's gonna run you about $1,000. Don't run you about $1,000. Do it out your tax return. But start your nonprofit. Then once you start your nonprofit, you able to go to all the doctors in your city, all the companies in your city, get 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 from all of them. Boom. Put it in your bank account. Put it in your business bank account. Go buy a 15-passenger van for 10 grand. Get the van. Then boom, find your volunteer from the church, or you do it, and then you get you some flyers made off of Vistaprint, and you say, sports for less. We help you play other sports that may not be affordable. Just word it how you want to word it. Put a couple pictures on the flyer. Go to the low-income neighborhoods, pass them flyers out, have your number on there, your email. The mama gonna reach out to you, and then you find the league for these kids, and then now your company is picking these kids up. You might have 2 going to this baseball field, 2 going to this soccer field right next to it, 2 going to the softball. But just do that, because you raise money and you get to pay yourself out of the money you raise up to 40% of the budget. So if you raise $100K, I had a client when she was 24, she was raising $500,000 a year for the nonprofit she was running. So it's doable. You could do it now, and then all the big companies like Walmart, McDonald's, Bank of America, all of them give grants. So when you go to their site, at the very bottom of their site, and even if you already got a nonprofit, and if you ain't noticed, they got grants and sponsorships. So at the bottom of their site, you'll see all the little links. It'll be a bunch of words. One of them may say community engagement, or it may say sponsorships, or it may say corporate responsibility. It'll be a word like that. If you don't know the word, you can't recognize it, click on all of them. And it'll take you to their page where you can apply for their grant. And their grant may be $5,000, it may be as much as $100,000. And you can apply for it, put your company name, put what your company does, and boom. The thing about it is a lot of people don't know this, so they're not going to the local bank branch. And your local bank, your credit unions, go to every one of them. Go in there, say, hey, I would like to speak to the branch manager. Talk to the branch manager, say, hey, I'm the executive director of Each One Reach One Incorporated, and I want to know if you all have any grants or sponsorships for local organizations. Go in there. You're going to be surprised, because you might hit 10 banks and all of them give you $500 to $5,000. See, this how you got to start thinking. See, it's always a way. It's always a way. And listen, you ain't got to start this nonprofit and do this for the world. Do this for your child. Start the nonprofit. Let me tell you about a nonprofit. When you start the nonprofit, people could give you money. Friends and family, everybody could give you money, and they could write it off on their taxes. And if you bring in $50,000 or less, you don't have to report to the government. So when you got a nonprofit, at the end of the year, you got to go and fill out the form. It's an e-form. It's online. But on that form, you put in your company name, the address, your name, your address, and it say, did you raise 50,000 or more? When you put no, and then you hit submit, you done. You just registered your company. You kept your, now not registered, you just did your report. That's all you got to do with a nonprofit. The only time you got to do more than that is when you bring in over 50K. But you could do this for your child, your children, and your nieces and nephews could be the ones that's benefiting from your nonprofit raising this money to pay for their extracurricular activities. Because it's no laws against it helping your family. It's just like if you the pastor of a church, your kids and your wife and your family and everybody benefit from, all your family benefit from your church. And it's a nonprofit, but they benefit from the facilities and everything. So even with your nonprofit, it can help your own family. It ain't no laws that saying your nonprofit that raise funds to help underprivileged kids play sports can't go to your blood relative. But also the government, they do not care if you under that 50K. So with that 50K, 49,000, let's say $49,999. My son's team costs $3,500. So even right there, you could sponsor 10 kids. And at 35K, you under 50K. So that's what I'm gonna do when I get the time. But if you got the time, especially if you single now, help your nieces and nephews, help your students at school if you're a teacher, and start that right there. Do that on the side, and it might hire you. Now, when it's over 50K, it's still not strenuous. You just gotta, it'll just be like, okay, now you got to fill out this form here, and you just you fill it out like, okay, how much went to salary? You know, how much went to supplies? How much went to operations? And you just fill it out. And now, like my client, she got audited because she was bringing in over $500,000. So they had to come look in and say, okay, nah, this a little strange. You in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and you bringing in over $500,000. What we got going on? Now, Baton Rouge got this kind of money. I know it's Baton Rouge, but when I be talking to people from there, it sounds like they be saying Baton Rouge. I be like, you from where? Baton Rouge. I'm like, Baton Rouge. That's a Rouge. And so she got audited, but it's like everything was above board. So it's like you just show boop boop boop. She was full salary, like 40K or 60K was her salary out of that. Another person was full salary, and then I think she had 6 part-time. And mind you now, this child was 24 years old. So ain't no excuse. You could do what you want to do. You could do what you put your mind to now. Hey, I done talk too much. I ain't gonna shoot more than 30 minutes at a time now. Cause boy, listen, I sit here and talk the whole 4-hour drive. But I'm gonna shoot some other topics, because there was another topic I wanted to do on things that ruin marriage. And just hit on these different topics that have been brought up to me. So think about this now. Now listen, I just gave you a brief overview. This is what I do in my one-on-one sessions. So to get a one-on-one session, you got to go to mymentor.life. It's not .com, it's mymentor.life. mymentor.life. And you can book a session with me or any other one of our coaches on there. And you can also take the life coach certification on TonyGaskinsAcademy.com. And then you can go join mymentor.life as a coach. So get with us now, and let's change the world. God bless you. We'll talk soon.